Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I am Jason Whitlock, your host. Oh my God, it's here. I got my flag out. My Bible's here every day. It's gonna be one of those days. I am so excited. I am so excited. Election day is here. This is the beginning of our revival, and you can see the signs everywhere. You can see it in the sports world. You can see it everywhere. But I'm so happy that it's happening in the sports world, because I have, and you have, and others have really paid a price in the sports world as they stole our values, stole one of the great institutions that we have, sports, and the projection, the promotion, the affirmation of biblical values, of American values, of traditional conservative values. That's what sports have always been about. They've stolen it, they've hijacked sports, and finally, men are waking up, putting their foot down, standing firm on our values, and saying, you know what? I don't care if you don't like me. I like Donald Trump. I like his policies. And I know many of you are sitting there, oh my God, Donald Trump, he's flawed, he's sinful. I don't care. I care about the policies. And that's what's driving many men, many people to move beyond their fears and say what they really believe, and let their family say what they really believe. It started last night with my favorite quarterback, my favorite football team. The Kansas City Chiefs are right in the middle of this entire revolution that's going on. Harrison Butker started it off, and Brittany Mahomes follows in, and now Patrick Mahomes' mama, right before Monday Night Football, she releases, or someone in her camp releases, the video of her showing up at the game on Monday Night Football in a Make America Great Again hat. And it's a very short video, but this is significant. Play the clip of Patrick Mahomes' mama.
Make America great again. Let's do it.
That's all I needed was those 7 seconds. We've heard about Brittany Mahomes, his wife and mama, they MAGA, and Patrick Mahomes ain't. Miss me with all of that. We are in the midst of the Great Awakening, and it's happening in sports. The Great Sports Awakening. It's not just Patrick Mahomes. Joe Rogan, he's right in there with UFC. Yes, he's known as a podcaster and an interviewer, but his bones, where he came up, is in the sports world, and he's associated with UFC. Joe Rogan last night tweets out his endorsement of Donald Trump. Here's the tweet, or here's the post, I'm sorry, on X. The great and powerful Elon Musk. If it wasn't for him, we'd be effed. He makes what I think is the most compelling case for Trump you'll hear, and I agree with him every step of the way. For the record, yes, that's an endorsement of Donald Trump. Enjoy the podcast. Nobody's scared anymore. Bill Belichick. Keep in mind, Bill Belichick is out of a job. He's the greatest coach in NFL history. The National Football League rejected him this offseason. He's out of a job. He has every reason to tread carefully because he wants to coach again. And he knows that if it was 2020 all over again, he'd have to walk and move very delicately. But things have transformed and changed so much in the sports world, Bill Belichick can now come back out of the closet, say, yeah, I like Trump. Trump's my guy. Trump gave me some kind of Medal of Honor. Trump's my guy. I'm not going to hide the fact that I'm down with Donald Trump. Bill Belichick had Donald Trump on his podcast with Jim Gray. I was telling you all last week about Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg and Larry Ellison and all the people with money, the big power brokers, the reigning men, the men that reign over America, the richest men in America, they all started moving Trump's direction, led by Elon Musk. And the next thing you know, Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, owns the Washington Post. He's moved. Now we get over here to the sports world. And this is why I was clowning LeBron James last week. What are you doing, you idiot? Can't you see which way the wind is blowing? But you're so controlled and afraid of the Diddy deal, you can't say what you really believe. You can't go the direction of men. You're handcuffed. But here's Bill Belichick with Donald Trump on his podcast. This is very significant. Let's play SOT number 9. SOT 9, Bill Belichick and Donald Trump on a podcast together.
Final thought here. It's the eve of the election. You talk to anybody who plays in a Super Bowl, has something big happening in their life, and you get a lot of nerves and anxiety. How are you feeling on this election eve?
It's been an amazing thing. And I think we're doing really well. You know, we're against a system. I don't view her as a candidate. I view the Democrat Party as the system. It's a system. It's just the way it is. And it's very interesting to watch. And let's see if I can take down that system. I did it once very successfully. I don't think there's ever been anything. This is more exciting. I hate to say it, Coach, but this is more exciting than any football game. This is big stuff, and it's going to be a very interesting, hopefully a very interesting outcome.
That doesn't happen. Bill Belichick's not on a podcast with Donald Trump if things haven't changed, if the wind's not blowing our direction. Today is a day we will remember for the rest of our lives. Today is a day that will impact your kids, our kids, America moving forward. Today is very, very significant. They had run roughshod. Black Lives Matter, Jacob Blake on football helmets and on basketball courts and on baseball diamonds, forcing all this Marxist sloganeering everywhere in sports. Everybody afraid to say what they really think. If Drew Brees says, hey, man, I like the national anthem and I don't ever want to disrespect it, he gets shouted down and pushed into a corner and everybody's going off on him. And finally, men are standing up and we're pushing back the other direction. And the sports world, we're recapturing the sports world where people can actually say what they really believe and stand for what they really believe in. Did I mention Mike Tyson? Iron Mike Tyson. He don't care what no one thinks about who he supports as president. Play the clip.
I'm voting for Trump. So what somebody's going to do about it?
I don't think anybody, I'm going to disagree with you.
So what? What are you going to do?
I think this is Jim Brown's daughter. Let's play SOT number 5. The great Jim Brown was a friend of mine, a hero of mine, a mentor of mine, someone I was very close to and have a lot of love and respect for. Jim, virtually everything that I believe politically, from a political point of view, from a masculinity point of view, it mirrors Jim Brown. Men taking responsibility for themselves. Jim Brown's America I Can program. Jim Brown was really misunderstood. Really misunderstood. He was a man's man and believed in men taking responsibility for themselves. And I'm not surprised that his seed is this strong that his daughter would go out at a Trump rally. Let's play shot number 5. This is Kimberly Brown. Sports world is going our way. Play that clip.
So tomorrow, November 5th, we're all going to the polls to re-elect Donald J. Trump as the 47th President of the United States of America! Fight! 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 Let's go!
This is awesome. This is... Today is a great day, and I've been on pins and needles. I've been so anticipating today. This is like being a 10-year-old kid at Christmas, and I would sit around, and my mother bought me this electric football game. Some of you young kids, you got video games, everything, you have no idea. But there was these electric football games. You put these little men on the board or whatever, and the board would vibrate, and they were shaped like football players, and it was like the PlayStation of that era. And I can remember I got the deluxe version of it. I used to have the little cheap one, and my mother for Christmas got me the deluxe version, and she wrapped it up, and it's in one of these long boxes. And so, the last 2 weeks of Christmas or before Christmas, I'd just go pick up the box because I knew what was inside of it. And I would just be anticipating, oh my God, I can't wait to play this game. This is the greatest thing in the world. That's how I felt about November 5th. Today, we've so needed this. We've so needed to confront this wickedness that has overtaken America. And is Donald Trump the perfect vehicle? No. But he's the vehicle that has been chosen to put an end to this. He is the vehicle that has been chosen to give men their backbones back. He's the vehicle, whether we like it or not. And I'm sorry, I love it. I'll take it however it's shaped and formed. I'll take it no matter his past sins. Do you have any idea how sinful and how flawed the men of the Bible were that God used to build an ark? That God used in every way imaginable? These men were murderers, adulterers, rapists. They were more flawed or just as flawed as you and everybody else. So let them complain about Donald Trump. They love to complain about Donald Trump because they don't want to talk about the policies that these two candidates represent. And I'm just sorry, one candidate's policies are evil and wicked and are set out to destroy us and our kids. And so this morning, I'm driving into the studio, and this is like an hour ago, maybe 90 minutes ago. I don't know. Harrison Butker, the guy, the kicker for the Chiefs. And this is why I'm just like, I look at my Chiefs and I go, look at the Chiefs, Harrison Butker. I got the Hunt family. I got Andy Reid. I got Brett Veach. I got Patrick Mahomes. They're all on our team. And I don't know how all these guys are voting, but they're on our team. I know how Harrison Butker's voting, and I know that organization, when he went and spoke at a Catholic school and told everybody in there, hey man, ain't nothing wrong with being a Christian woman. Ain't nothing wrong with being a helpmeet. Nothing wrong with leaning into your family. It's actually what's right. When he went out there and stood on that, the Kansas City Chiefs doubled down and supported him and gave him the biggest contract for a kicker in NFL history. No one backed away from him. No, not Patrick Mahomes, not Chris Jones. No one backed away from Harrison Butker. When Morgan Wallen showed up at a concert in Kansas City, he put on a number 7 Harrison Butker jersey. And Patrick Mahomes and Chris Jones and Travis Kelce walked out with Morgan Wallen. This is when men stand up, other men follow, and women get in line. Harrison Butker stood up, and the whole Chiefs organization. Next thing you know, Brittany Mahomes was like, yeah, I'm about this life. Patrick Mahomes' mama, yes, I'm about this life. But here, this morning, Harrison Butker posted on X, Christians, head to the polls today, vote to keep God in America, vote President Trump. And I'm going to explain exactly what he's talking about when he says vote to keep God in America. I know many of you are so caught up in Trump that you can't see the bigger picture. But I want to play you the video that Harrison Butker posted along with that statement. I believe, yeah, do we have that video? Yeah, we got that. It's SOT number 11. It's about 2 minutes. It's a very powerful video. I hope I get through today's show without making a fool of myself and crying and blubbering like Randy Moss and Ryan Clark, but I doubt it. Because when I start going to this cut deeper, this extra deep layer of why we're here, my trip over to Memphis this weekend, I'm going to get emotional. But first, Harrison Butker is going to give you a little taste, a little teaser of what I'm going to talk about today and why this election is so important and why it's not about, you're not choosing between Kamala Harris, Kamala Harris? Is that her name? Why did I just forget her name? Kamala Harris, yeah. And Donald Trump. You're not choosing between those two. You're choosing between a country that honors God and a country that honors the devil. Whose policies are going to be the priority moving forward? But play Harrison Butker.
In America, faith has always brought us together. It's what inspires us, guides us, and comforts us in times of need. But under Kamala Harris and the radical Democrats, faith is under attack.
Oh, you guys are at the wrong rally.
Kamala Harris has repeatedly rebuked Christians, undermining the values that build our great nation.
Revealing there's been at least 400 attacks on Catholic churches since 2020.
And that's why we've called on the Biden administration to take action. Unfortunately, we've not seen a single federal prosecution.
They say our beliefs don't belong in public life. They mock and dismiss those of us who find strength in faith.
She does not believe in religious liberty for Catholics.
According to these senators, every practicing Catholic should quit the bench because they're extremists.
They spy on Catholics who dare attend Mass in their churches.
This is one of the most outrageous targetings. You have mobilized your division, the most powerful law enforcement division in the world, against traditionalist Catholics. Here, it gets worse. Your Richmond field office, they thought there was nothing wrong with this.
The FBI is going after Catholics.
But it doesn't have to be this way.
And God has now spared my life. It must have been God. Thank you.
We need a leader who will defend our values, not tear them down.
We're going to bring back religion into our country.
President Trump has stood up for religious freedom, protecting the right to pray, the right to worship, and the right to live our faith without fear. This November, vote to protect your faith. Vote to keep God in America. President Trump, standing with Christians, standing for America. Upright PAC is responsible for the content of this advertisement.
I can hear the critics right now. Oh, Donald Trump, he's been convicted of sexual assault in a civil case, or whatever that lie is they tell. Oh, he said grab him by the P word. Oh, he cheated on his wife. Oh, he's been married 3 times. I know it all. I don't care. You know how many things they could say about David and Moses? How many things they could say about me and you? If we were really honest, and if you got off your high horse, and if you quit pretending like somehow you're some symbol of righteousness, I had to politely and gently and with love tried to correct some woman this year that was making, or this week, that was making the mistake that many of us make. We get caught up in what they point us at, and we miss the bigger picture. We miss we miss the full picture. And so there was a woman this week on my social media that I stumbled across. She didn't tweet it at me, or she didn't post it towards me. She just posted it, and I stumbled across, and she said something about white people need to be in charge of America, and she put up a video of the woman, the gorilla rapper woman that was rapping at the Harris rally. And she thinks that, you know, look at this woman gorilla rapping this vile stuff, and this is a black problem. And I'm like, hey, baby girl, look here. And I understand why she thinks that. I really do. Because they point you that direction. That they put these millionaire minstrels in front of your face constantly and say, look, here's the problem, here's the problem. But the doctors that are working at Planned Parenthood and these abortion factories, they don't put that in your face. They got rules about where pro-life protesters can stand around these facilities. No one gets to see the doctors murdering babies like on a factory assembly line, crushing babies in the womb. What color are they? And I don't say that because y'all know I'm not into this racial thing, but I just want to keep everybody in line and in focus that sin is a universal problem. And that's why I laugh at the people like, oh, look at Donald Trump, he sinned. And I'm like, no, it's a universal problem. You've sinned, I've sinned. It's, oh, but he did this kind of sin. Well, you did this kind. And so I get Gorilla and these other reprobate mind rappers and what they're promoting, that nihilism, I get it. But they work hand in hand with the abortion murderers, the baby murderers. They work hand in hand together. You can't have one without the other. The nihilistic mindset that Gorilla and these other rappers are promoting is to justify the murder of babies going on in factories, in Planned Parenthood factories all across America. This is Starsky and Hutch. Nihilism is what connects them, and it comes in all shapes, sizes, and colors. And that's why Donald Trump is not perfect. He's not the kind of Christian I prefer. Maybe he's not even a Christian. I know he's being used by God so that a Harrison Butker, so that other believers can use what he's doing to reestablish Christ as king in this country, to remove the nihilistic mindset that is allowing us to sacrifice children at every turn. I'm about to really go deep here. This is why I went to Memphis to sit with Pastor Williams, to be in the midst of his congregation so he could tie it all together for me. I didn't even know what he was going to preach about, but I know that's where I needed to be to fully understand this time and what today represents. I posted, I believe, over social media. I can't remember. I've been doing so much and so much research, but this, and I'm about to get into it, but this connection between abortion and pedophilia. I'm gonna walk you all the way through it. They're attacking our kids. And this election is about good versus evil. Are we going to continue to go down this path? I'm not there yet. I'm sorry, I'm not there yet. Give me a few more minutes. I'm just doing the setup and the preview. But that's what this election is about, and it's why I'm so emotional, because I'm so excited that on the other side of this, on November 6th, 7th, 8th, whenever the Democrats get done playing their game after we've won this election, I feel that strong, that it's our time. We're going to be able to address the combination of pedophilia and abortion and child sacrifice and what it's doing to our country and who's behind this. There's some deeper truths we have to get to, very uncomfortable. But he set the stage for that. And he's opened everyone's mind, people that you wouldn't imagine. Joe Rogan and Elon Musk on Team Trump, they don't even know what they've been caught up in because God moves in mysterious ways. And they don't even know what they're being swept. These are confirmed non-believers that are part of a movement that is about eliminating and confronting the baby murders and the child sacrifice culture and the pedophilia that they're trying to legalize. And trust these men in the sports lane that I'm talking about, and women. They can't articulate it, but they can feel it. They know the babies are under attack. And they know that Kamala Harris and her crowd are leading that attack. And they know that they've overtaken an important institution. Live sports are the only thing that all of us still participate in and watch and gather around. And it's been captured and overtaken by the atheists and the people hostile to Jesus Christ. And that's why it's an important battleground. And to see these men in the sports lane come out and support Trump, it's magnificent. I almost forgot to mention, did y'all see what Skip Bayless? Now, Skip Bayless has spent the last 8 years with his head shoved up the rear end of every black liberal that would allow it. Getting on TV with Michael Eric Dyson and Shannon Sharp and genuflect. Yeah. Black Lives Matter, George Floyd this, George Floyd that, and apologizing for being white. Any irrational, the police are just randomly killing people, and on anything these leftists said, Skip Bayless had his head shoved as deep in the rear end of any of these leftists as he could possibly imagine. And this man yesterday starts talking about why he respects Donald Trump. He would have never said it 6 months ago. He'd have never said it a year ago. He'd have been thrown, and he's been thrown off TV. But again, this is why I'm telling you, don't get in bed with these people. He did all that rear end kissing, and what did Shannon Sharp and what did that racial idolatry, black culture do to him? They kicked Skip Bayless to the curb as soon as they got a chance. They've destroyed his career. They don't care about all the butt kissing and brown nosing that he did. They don't care that he sold his soul. They don't care. Because the leftists don't care. They will destroy anything and everybody. It's a death culture. And so here Skip Bayless is wetting his finger in the air like, holy cow. The wind is blowing Trump's direction. And now he wants to hop on board. This is, do you know how much dirt they must have on LeBron James? I'm seriously. For him to get out there and do what he did last week, endorsing Kamala Harris and this child sacrifice culture, you know how much dirt they must have on LeBron James? Because Everybody with a brain can see which way the wind is blowing. It's blowing our direction. There's a revival going on. Skip Bayless is having to pull his head out of millions of black rear ends, black liberal rear ends, to say, yeah, I kind of like Trump. Play the clip.
Let me say this about Donald Trump. I do not share a number of his views, maybe many of his views, but I do believe he's a natural-born leader who isn't afraid to make tough decisions and who, however you want to explain it, has been very lucky through his life. See the little scar on his ear as opposed to a hole in his head.
This is a little lucky. Really, Skip? Lucky? The whole concept of luck is that's God's grace. That was a signal, hey, I'm not done using this guy. I got some things I need this guy to accomplish to open up these scared Christians, open up their minds, give them enough courage to stand on what they say they believe in. Wasn't luck, that was God saying, I'm not done with Donald Trump. There's some more he has to do. And here we are today, and oh, I feel so good. It's going to get done. They're not going to be able to rig this thing up. There's too many of us. It's too big to rig. There's too many of us willing to sacrifice everything. When I look at Elon Musk, this man's not even a believer as far as I know. This man has sacrificed, he's one of the richest people in the world. I don't call him the richest man in the world because the Rothschilds, they won't tell you about, they got more money than everybody combined, but I don't call him that. But he's really rich. And this man has pushed all his chips into the table and said, look, I know they rig up these elections and I could get jailed or killed for coming out here and standing with Donald Trump, but he's done it. I'm gonna play one last clip and then I'm gonna move on to this other next level of the conversation. But I wanna play you Elon Musk and Joe Rogan talking about the importance of this election. Play shot number one.
Well, I'll say it again, man. I think this is the last election. If Trump doesn't win, this is the last election.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think people, and a lot of people are waking up and realize that have been lifelong Democrats. Guys like Bill Ackman, guys like Chamath.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, Tulsi Gabbard switched over to the Republicans. Yep. Like there's a lot of people who their whole life they've been left-wing and they realize like, I can't do this anymore.
You and I used to be Democrats.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
It's nuts, man. And if the Dems win this election, they will legalize enough illegals to turn the swing states, and everywhere will be like California. There will be no escape.
That is so insane.
This is the final. This is it. This is the last chance.
Has anybody tried to push back?
And I just want to like go out and vote. Vote like your life depends on it. Vote like your future depends on it, because it does. This is the last chance, man.
I'm someone you all know that had never voted and was committed to never voting. And I'm someone that disagrees with Musk to some degree. Illegal immigration is important to me. It is, and I think it's a critical issue. But illegal immigration comes down to safety and, you know, national identity and, you know, economy, where are people going to work and all that. It's a financial issue and a safety issue to me. You just can't allow any and everybody to come up into your house. Again, no one's ever been able to explain to me like, hey, we should have open borders. But everybody believes I should have a house or an apartment that has a door and a lock on it that keeps people out that haven't paid the rent here, don't belong here, haven't earned a spot inside my house or an apartment. We all believe in a personal border for our homes. But there's this group of people that don't believe in a personal border for our country. Anybody can come in, anybody can do it. Well, if you just allowed any and everybody into your house, eventually any and everybody's going to do any and everything inside your house. And it won't be your house anymore. It'll be their house. I get that. That's an important issue. But the issue that's driving this election, the reason why people are standing in 30-minute and hour-long and 2-hour-long lines, the reason why I went out and voted 2.5, 3 weeks ago, the reason why so many people have voted early, the reason why we're passionate and feel like, hey man, life and death is on the line here, is because what they're doing to the kids. That people can't articulate it. Maybe people are uncomfortable articulating it. They don't want to be called conspiracy theorists. They don't want to be pointing a finger at friends and family members who are supporting this baby murdering culture. Because again, when you come to this mindset that I believe, and people with a rational opinion should believe, hey, this whole thing is built on pedophilia and abortion. When you come to that conclusion, you start looking at the people that are voting for it and saying, hey, what's the matter with you? Are you that evil? And then the next thing you know, you're looking at friends and family members and you're questioning everything about them, and that's uncomfortable and is dangerous. And so people don't want to go there, but it's within us. It's in our hearts. It's in our souls. It's in the back of our minds. It's in the front of our minds. We may not speak it out of fear of damaging relationships, but it's there. And that's what's driving what's going on today, why they haven't been able to destroy Trump. They spent ever since January 6, 2021, trying to destroy this man. They ended up trying to kill this man. They tried to put him in prison. And they've been unsuccessful because God is not done with that man. And there's things we have to come to grips with. And we are slowly. It's in our hearts. It's in our guts. We can feel it in our bodies and in our minds. But we got to speak it out loud, and we have to let people know, hey, we know what's up. And this whole thing is predicated on pedophilia and abortion. And if you build a culture, you build a society where everybody thinks, my body, my choice. I get to kill whatever I want inside my body. You're building a corrupt culture. You're building a culture that's nihilistic, has no respect for life, that doesn't believe babies' lives matter. Now I'm ready to go there. But before I get there, hold for 1 second. Let me catch my breath for a moment. Let me take care of one of the great sponsors that allows me to say these things, to do these things, what we're doing today. And then when we come back, on the other side of me supporting Craft Co. and Flying Aces, I'm going to walk you through this whole baby murdering, abortion, pedophilia, peanut butter and jelly deal. There's nothing better at the end of a long day than sitting down in your favorite easy chair with a glass of your favorite whiskey. And hey, if it turns out that with every glass you're helping to support a great American cause, doesn't taste any better than that. It's time to chart your own course with Flying Ace whiskeys from Craft Co. Inspired by generations of American aviators and proudly made right here in the United States, Flying Ace is not only making amazing whiskeys, they're also committed to supporting our brave troops and their families through their partnership with Folds of Honor. They're providing scholarships to families of America's fallen or disabled, and these scholarships allow families to begin to chart their own new course after experiencing great sacrifice. Flying Ace whiskeys, they're American proud because they're American made, and they're American proud because they're helping to support our heroes and their families. Don't wait around. Today's the day to get your own and see what all the fuss is about. Buy online at flyingacespirits.com. Use the promo code America to get free shipping. That's flyingacespirits.com, promo code America for free shipping. Thank you, Flying Ace. Thank you, Craft Co. Thank you, Folds of Honor, for allowing me to have this conversation today. Baby lives matter. And so this weekend, or this past weekend, I went over to Memphis because I needed to connect with Pastor Alton Williams. And I've needed to. And you guys saw Pastor Alton Williams on the show, I believe in August. And I said, you know, he had a sermon that went viral. We had him on the show, and I said, man, I got to come over and worship with your congregation. Man, I haven't seen this, particularly in the black church. I haven't seen it, what I've seen from him. And so I said, I'll be there this weekend. And then behind the scenes, he let me know, like, Jay, if you come over this weekend, this is back in August, I'll be out. Me and my wife are starting a vacation for a month or so at this time. Come through in mid-September, late September. I said, okay. We get into September and, you know, I'm going to different churches and football has started and you start talking about a 3-hour drive over. I'm just keeping it real with y'all. You start talking about a 3-hour drive over, 3-hour back. I'm like, man, I'm going to miss football either Saturday or Sunday. And, you know, it just, but this past weekend, I'm like, hey, man, we are right before the election. And I got to hear from Alton Williams. If you fought, the man talks about all the issues on the table. And all, you know, where other politicians won't address what's going on in the culture and all they want to talk about is salvation and all they want to talk about is what's going to happen when we get to heaven, and they make sure they don't say anything that irritates the women in their church or makes anybody real uncomfortable. They don't have the hard conversations. Alton Williams has the hard conversations. And this weekend, God ordered my steps in a way and had me right where I needed to be this past Sunday. The man gave a sermon about how they're coming for our children and what this election is really about. And so again, these sports people that I just referenced at the top of the show and where their courage is coming from. Some of them, probably Harrison Butker understands it fully, but some of these others, they don't fully understand where their courage is coming from and why they're like, nah, I got to get out here and say this at this time. Damn the consequences. Obviously, there are less consequences now, but they're still being bold. They're taking a risk. This culture is so filled with racial idolatry, and Trump has been so maligned and mischaracterized as some sort of KKK racist figure, that there's risk in white guys or in black guys, anybody saying, hey, I like Donald Trump. But it's coming from this feeling and understanding of like, hey man, our kids are in harm's way. And we're gonna have to answer for this. So, and we're not gonna have to answer to Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or Barack Obama. Those of us that understand that we answer to the Most High God, no, we're gonna have to answer to Him for what we're allowing to be done to our children. And people have, Jason, why did you leave corporate media to go on your own, to take that risk? Things were great. You had a successful show. Speak for yourself. And, you know, you and Marcellus, it was so great. I had to leave because I knew there were things I had to say just wouldn't be allowed. Nobody would be comfortable in corporate media with me saying the things that I had to say, because we've built a culture where abortion and killing babies is people's most prized possession. That's what this election is about. It's about your kids and the desire to kill your kids in the womb, through the food that they feed them, through the vaccines that they feed them, through confusing them about their gender and sexuality, to having sexual access to your children. And I'm like, if I don't say this, because just as a journalist and just my personality, it's my desire, goal, passion in life to just follow the truth wherever it leads. That's just how I'm built. I'm not the most righteous person. I'm not putting myself on some pedestal. There's a quirk in my personality. It's like I'm fascinated by the truth. I'm fascinated by the pursuit of truth. I'm fascinated and enjoy sharing the truth that I discover. And so when you come to the understanding of like, whoa, how did we go in a span of 20, 30 years from, hey man, we should have abortions that are safe, legal, and rare, to my body, my choice, and abortion is a form of birth control. How did we get here? And when you come to that, we're like, holy wow, what's going on here? This is evil. This is a wickedness that will be punished on earth and below. You'll be sent below. For these are, as Pastor Williams talked about, these are what they call abominations. Child sacrifice is an abomination. It's a different level of sin. There will be a judgment for that. And I want to, we'll start with, I'll try to do this in the order in which he unpacked it in the sermon. But so he started out just warming people up about the mindset you have to have today, November 5th. And he's talking on November 3rd, but he's talking about here's the mindset you need on November 5th. This is SOT number 17, and how you have to go into that voting booth with your God hat on. Play the clip.
When you go into the voting machines, you better go in with your God hat on, because the angels are watching. God, what's important to you? Not all this race mess that's going on out here with all the rhetoric and all the talk, not even as it relates to your family members who may be contrary to the will and the ways of God. It is about what does God want? Because the way we go in this election is getting ready to determine where America is going in the future. Whether we will have freedom or not, whether we will have God or not, because they coming after the church. I want y'all to hear me. They are coming after the church. They are coming after Christians. They want to silence us so we won't say anything. And people don't see that. But I applaud you all, because many of you have gone through persecution from your family, from your friend and your coworkers. They listen to me on the radio, and when you get home, they talking about you and talking about your pastor and you being a part of the church. I applaud you for standing up against that. I know you love your families, and I know it's hard, but God gonna honor you for going through the persecution.
Now I'm there, I'm sitting on the front row, and that's early in his hour-long sermon, and he's just warming up the audience for, like, hey, I know what you've been through. I know the heat you catch for attending this church and listening to my sermons and repeating my sermons, because this man consistently calls out the racial idolatry that blinds people to the sins that they're co-signing. And we've been blinded. And this idolatry, different forms of it, and again, this is how it shows up in the black church. But trust me, there's idolatry in the white church, and there's idolatry, again, as I said earlier, this is a universal problem. Sin, we have a sin problem, not a skin problem. But there is we're being used, black people are being used as a tool to justify a certain sort of sin that is being used to attack children. And he explains this in great detail, and when I sit here and I tell you about how did I get here, how did I end up in Nashville, Tennessee, why did I walk away from the corporate media and what I was feeling there, and in terms of like, because once they had decided in 2020, we're going to break every rule to remove Donald Trump so we don't have to tolerate people like Jason Whitlock. And that's, I'm just keeping it real. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but that's the mentality. There's a reason why everybody black on corporate television, they all say the same thing. They never speak these truths. They'll try to dibble and dabble in it, but they'll never speak these harsh truths, and they will always support the very people that are attacking your children and corrupting your children. There's a reason why they genuflect and get weak in the knees around Snoop Dogg and all the other debauchery and Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B. They're in support of the pedophile, abortion, peanut butter and jelly cult. They're in the war against your children. And they think, oh God, they so are caught up in like, oh man, if I uplift black, there's a great reward in that. No, there's great reward in uplifting God and standing with God. And if you are standing with him, you will be persecuted. There's no persecution for going on TV and lying to everybody that black, and we must install black people here, we got to install gay people here, transgender here. That's not honoring God. That's not standing with God. That's standing with your idols and empowering your idols. But I want to play SOT number 16. And he starts explaining about what there's a war being fought over your children. Play the clip.
Listen to me. There is a war going on over your children. Y'all hear me today. There is a war going on. It's in Scripture. Revelations 12:17, and I'm looking in the Amplified. It says, so the dragon, which is the devil, was enraged with the woman, and he went off to wage war on the rest of her children, her seed. Notice the seed he going after. Those who keep and obey the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus, holding firmly to it and bearing witness to him. That's the war. Satan, represented by the dragon, is coming after the seed of the woman, her children. Notice what he said. He mad at the woman, but he didn't say, I'm coming after the woman. He said, I'm going to get back at you by coming after your seed. So I'm coming after you. What better way to hurt a woman than to go after her children? And so he coming after those who got some God in them, who've been taught at home the commandments of God, that have been born again. Them the ones he coming after. Some of you may say, well, if the devil coming after me because my children are saved, it'd be better off that I not get them saved. How come he won't mess with the ungodly kids? Because he already got them. Godly kids are going to be a problem to the devil's community. So he got to come watch early to get your children before they become a threat to the kingdom of darkness.
Whose policies, who's running today for president based on women have to have abortion on demand? Which candidate appointed 3 Supreme Court justices that struck down Roe v. Wade and ended the federalized support of abortion? Which candidates? This is what this election is about. It's about your kids. And do we have this sustained attack this week? And I didn't know it, but this week or late last week, because I know about America, I know very little about foreign countries, but I read, I think it was Mike Cernovich that pointed out that in Israel, the government helps pay for abortions. And that's the direction and partially what we were doing here in America. And you think there won't be a judgment from God over that? You've built a system where the government is paying for the killing of babies in the womb. This is a battle of good and evil. This is a battle about the future of your kids. What type of mentality are we going to have as it relates to kids? This is why, and I'm not going to go long into this, leave the OTS up, but this is why I'm always talking about preborn. This is why I keep imploring you and begging you to support preborn. It supports our worldview, our belief, our biblically founded belief. Life begins at conception. If you give a culture over to child sacrifice, and next thing you know, you have a political party that rises up and its primary issue is killing babies in the womb, your country is headed straight to hell. Your kids will be possessed by demons. They will be uncontrollable. They will be confused about who they are. They will be sanctioning boys playing girl sports, men with sticks and balls, getting naked in locker rooms with your young daughters. This election is about your babies. They want you to think it's about Donald Trump and mean tweets and inappropriate comments. It's about policies that will affect your babies. Which candidate will allow policies that protect your children and protect this culture from giving over to this reprobate mind where you're out in the streets and, oh, my body, my choice. And do you understand, as a believer, some of you lukewarm Christians, as a believer, the whole concept of my body, my choice is in direct conflict with God? It is not your body, it's God's body. It's not yours. This isn't mine. And again, me being fat, that disrespects God. And I'm going to have to answer for that. And for those of you that think you can just kill a baby, it's my body, it's my choice. You're going to have to answer for that. It is not your body. It is God's body, and it is his choice, and he's rendered a decision. Don't you kill that baby. Anybody that disrespects kids, there's a special place in hell for them. That's why we're rising up today. And there's other reasons. There's January 6th and then people sitting in prison and all that other stuff. But there are those of us that fully realize this is a battle about mindsets and good versus evil, and a society and a culture that's built on killing babies. That's why go to preborn.com/fearless. Give money to this organization. Please. One of the greatest things you can do on your cell phone is pound 250, say the keyword, baby. Support this organization. It is all connected. And let me go a cut deeper with Pastor Alton Williams about why the killing of babies is so important. And I hope I call for the right. I think I'm gonna call. Yeah, I'm gonna call for the right clip here. I think it's SOT number 12. And he's talking about the time we're living in. I'll let him do it, and then I'm gonna come in after him. Play SOT 12.
Satan's desire is to destroy, watch this, is to destroy this generation. Here's the reason why the devil wants this generation. Because this is the generation that is going to usher in the return of the Lord. And God has said that a revival is going to break out right before the Lord returns. So he wants your children. He knows his time is almost up. The devil knows his time is drawing near, and he's trying to get your kids in all kinds of things so they won't be used in the upcoming revival. God Almighty. I'm helping somebody. King Herod killed all of the children 2 years and under because he heard about this Redeemer that was coming. Jesus, the Redeemer, he was looking for him. So he said, go kill all the children 2 years and under. He was trying to stop a revival. Ladies, y'all got some redeemers in your belly. And the devil don't want them to come out so that they will not be able to serve God's purposes. He did it in Moses' generation. Moses was going to be the deliverer. So Pharaoh killed all the male children. That was the devil working through Pharaoh, because the devil was looking for the deliverer. The devil don't know everything. He don't know everything because he is not omnipotent or omniscient. But he gets clues by what you say and how you act. But he was looking for who this deliverer was going to be that was going to take his throne. Y'all got deliverers in your belly. That's why the abortion issue is so strong today. The devil is trying to stop a revival, and he's trying to stop those deliverers and redeemers that's in your womb.
Can it get any clearer than that? Can it get any clearer? And you can turn on CNN, you can turn on MSNBC, you can turn on Fox, you can turn on all of them. And what will they be talking about? Well, women that want to protect their reproductive rights and my body, my choice, and the abortion, blah, blah, blah. This is all a scheme. Could you imagine if Mary was around now and under pressure from folks, from Kamala Harris to Barack Obama to any of these people? You should kill your baby and have an abortion. That's going to get in the way of your career. Kill your baby. Because my understanding is like Mary was a young mother. And yes, and Pastor Alton talks about this. There's women in that church, in that congregation, and there's women listening to this. And there are men listening to this who have participated or played some role in an abortion. And that's why you have to get right with God and repent. You will be forgiven. But you cannot continue to openly support this kind of wickedness. Cannot be done. Not if you want a society that functions properly and allows children to blossom and to cultivate properly. This whole destruction of family. I know part of the title was they're coming for your children, but the first part was about family structure or family, what Pastor Alton was talking about. But this destruction of family and how we've got, and again, I'm part of the problem. I'm single. I should be married. I've made mistakes. I get it. I've talked about it on this show constantly. But you're not going to have a properly functioning society when when we've sanctioned being single parents, being same-sex parents, transgender. You can't have all this and have a well-operating, righteous, properly functioning society. It cannot happen. A society that is this hostile to babies and families will have the kind of chaos that is commonplace and being normalized here in America. And does Donald Trump articulate this the way that Alton Williams doing or the way that I'm doing right now? No, Donald Trump's not even probably fully aware of what all he's representing and how God is using him. But the lines in the sand are so crystal clear. One party's entire platform is based on killing babies. And the other side has put on Supreme Court justices, 3 of them, that eliminated abortion as a federal issue, sent it to the states. And if Trump gets to put 2 more Supreme Court justices on, we now have a shot, and I know this is going to irritate some of y'all, but I don't care. We have a shot at overturning same-sex marriage, and it has to be done. And that's not me. I don't hate gay people. But damn it, as I've said over and over and over and over again, not everything is for everybody. And so if you're a woman that likes to lay up with another woman, marriage is not for you. Children are not for you. If you're single like me and ran around chasing loose women, marriage ain't for me. I screwed that up. Now I'm correcting and repenting, but I'm just telling, not everything is for you. And we have to move back to that. And again, Trump can't say it, because if he did, it would cost him the election, and he just needs to get elected. But if he puts the right Supreme Court justices on, we can overturn same-sex marriage. And I'm just, Pete Buttigieg and whoever that dude is he's claiming to be married to and pretending that they're raising kids, that is destroying the babies that they're being allowed to adopt and artificially inseminate, and a woman carries the baby. What are we doing? This is an abomination. This is the destruction of kids. This is creating sexual confusion. This is why I say abortion and pedophilia, they're peanut butter and jelly. If you are someone that likes having sex, if you're an adult that likes having sex with kids, how do you cover up that crime? With an abortion. If you're some big nasty woman or small nasty woman that can't attract men, or you've given up, and so you prey on little 13 and 14-year-old boys, how do you cover that up? With an abortion. If you're a man that can't get no woman your age, and you like going after little impressionable 11, 12, 13, 14-year-old girls, how do you cover it up? You got to have access to abortion. This is abortion and pedophilia. They're peanut butter and jelly. They're Starsky and Hutch. They're Laverne and Shirley. You can't have one without the other. That's why they're trying to normalize this. This is, I want to continue. This is this is where it's going to get real uncomfortable. And we this whole normalizing and mainstreaming this whole gay movement is it's intolerable. It can't continue. I'm sorry. It would be like normalizing obesity. We shouldn't do it. And I'm fat. You shouldn't normalize it. I'm not a bad person, but don't normalize obesity. And I'm not calling gay people bad, but we can't normalize that lifestyle. There are consequences to it, and they know what the consequences are. And they know exactly what they're doing. When I say Alton Williams left, no stone unturned. The man read from a gay manifesto that was, I think, released sometime in the 70s or 80s. And he talked and read it to his congregation. I'm like, oh, this is what we need. The things that are going on, they're not by accident. They're not by design. The LGBTQ crowd, they know exactly what they're doing. They want to disrupt Christian culture. And they got you out here being ashamed of Christian nationalism and holding debates and discussions about, oh, I'm not a Christian nationalist. Oh, we got to disavow Christian nationalism. The hell we do. God needs to reign over this entire country if we want to get back right and have some normalcy and have kids be safe. Because this secular world, this atheist world will not protect your children. It's putting us all at risk. But now this is about 4 minutes, but the dude's reading from the Gay Manifesto and tell me if they're not accomplishing their goals. Play SOT number 15.
That's why if you don't grieve over this situation, and I hear Christians say, oh man, leave them gays alone. They ain't bothering me. That ain't the issue. The issue is it's going to change society. Pastors out here arguing over race, and they missing the point. God is concerned about, do you care about the abominations that are going on? Do you have a heart against it? Too many Christians have just become desensitized and have accepted it. That means they don't have the heart of God. Them gays, and this is what people tell me, them gays ain't bothering me. I ain't gonna bother them. This is what was in the homosexual manifesto. This was written back in 1987. I want you to see how close they are to meeting that agenda. We shall sodomize your sons, emblems of your feeble masculinity, of your shallow dreams and vulgar lies. We shall seduce them in your schools, in your dormitories, in your gymnasiums, in your locker rooms, in your sports arenas, in your seminaries, in your youth groups, in your movie theater bathrooms, in your army bunkhouses, in your truck stops, in your all-male clubs, in your houses of Congress, wherever men are with men together. Your sons shall become our minions, and they gonna do our bidding. They will be recast in our image. They will come to crave and adore us. Women, you cry for freedom. You say you are no longer satisfied with men. They make you unhappy. We connoisseurs of the masculine face, the masculine physique, shall take your men from you then. We will amuse them. We will instruct them. We will embrace them when they weep. Women, you say you wish to live with each other instead of with men, then go on, be with each other. We shall give your men pleasures they have never known, because we are foremost men too, and only man knows how to truly please another man. Only one man can understand with depth the feeling, the mind, and the body of another man. All laws, watch this, banning homosexual activity will be revoked. Instead, legislation will be passed which engenders love between men. We almost at that point. I'm finna make a point, stay with me. The family unit, spawning ground of lies, betrayals, mediocrity, hypocrisy, and violence will be abolished. The family unit, which only dampens imagination and curbs free will, must be eliminated. In other words, we're going to tear down the nuclear family where the father was the head of the home. And you're getting to that right now, because the father adds a degree of protection in that home. They don't want the daddy in the home. And that's what has happened to the black community going all the way back to the 60s. They took the father out of the home. And now our neighborhoods are messed up. Kids on gangs, the women going from man to man, making money off of every child they birth from welfare. And the men get off and ain't got no responsibility, so they go from one woman to the next. And now you're trying to blame it on white folk? You got to take responsibility for your own life, your own home, and your own community. Then it says, all churches who condemn us will be closed. Our only gods are handsome young men.
Put it in a manifesto. It reads as prophecy. That's what's happening. And this election, it's a continuation of that. Remember when I showed you all months ago, maybe a year or two ago, or I can't remember when, but I talked with you all about Barack Obama was on the cover of Newsweek magazine. And they called him the first gay president. And Pastor Williams talked about this, not the Newsweek deal, but again, like, what was Obama's mission? What was his true agenda? Why was he installed? Why was someone who, of mixed race heritage, raised by white folks, some mystery black daddy somewhere, raised for a while in Indonesia, raised in Hawaii. Why was he in Barack Hussein Obama? Why was he installed? Why was he the first black president? You got all these black people over here, right here in America. Not, Hawaii's part of America, but you got all these black people that come from descendant of slave ancestry. And somehow, someone of mixed heritage, mystery father, who there's debate about who the real daddy is and all that, but white mama, white grandparents raised him. He's confused. Spent a lot of time, was once called Barry Soetoro or Sotero. Why is he the first so-called black president? What's the real agenda? Is he... You got a bunch of, I'm sorry, pure blood black folks over here. And I'm not saying one's better than the other, and I really don't get caught up in it, but I'm just asking you, why would they have someone who has clearly some confusion and rumors, and wrote a letter to one of his girlfriends in college about all of his dreams about banging men? Why is that the first black president? And now they come in with an Indian woman who has some Jamaican father. She grew up in Canada. according to Candace Owens and the terrific work Candace Owens is doing, she's lied about her ancestry, particularly as it relates to black people, done put up photos of servants that work for her family and pretending they her grandmama and all this other stuff. Now they want her to come in as the next so-called black president. And so Obama, everybody's in agreement right now. His longest legacy, he did the most for gay people. Ushered in and helped everybody get on board with same-sex marriage. And now here comes Kamala Harris in behind him, a woman that was willing to pay taxpayer money for prisoners to get sex changes in California. A woman that can't wait to host drag queens at her house. Can't wait to be pictured with drag queens. Whose agenda is just as gay, if not more gay, than Obama's. Why is this? And why are we going for it? And why are we, this phony black packaging, oh, we're doing this to celebrate black people. You've been played, and I'm so glad people are waking up. I feel so good about today. Obviously, if I'm wrong, I'm going to be terribly disappointed, but I'm going to continue to trust in God that clearly there must be more we must do. Enough of us have not awakened. And so I will accept whatever happens tonight, tomorrow, the next day. If they rig it up and steal it from Trump again, it must be because we haven't repented enough. And so I will continue to repent. But I have a feeling we're going to win in a landslide, and we have an opportunity to address and push back against the corruption and the moral decay that has overtaken our society, and we have a chance to prioritize God's family, the nuclear family, man and woman and children. So that we, again, when man and woman are together, there's more supervision of children. There's less opportunity for an uncle, a teacher, an auntie, a babysitter to molest your child if mama and daddy are together and in the same home and supervising that kid. We have to get back to that. And I'm going to transition again into this whole, but not right now, but here in a second, to this whole, what is Make America Great Again? What does it signify? What is it talking about? Why are we caught up in this movement? What does it mean? People ask, when was America great? Well, I'm going to tell you when. So you know how to answer that question the next time one of these demonic idiots asks you that. One of these racial idolaters asks you that. I'm going to tell you exactly how to answer that question. But I'm not done yet with Pastor Alton Williams and just, I want to play you this clip of Pastor Williams. He showed, I think this is a video that was popular over TikTok, where it's a gay dude talking about exactly what they want to do and what they have done and how they're coming for your children. And I'm like, if they can talk this boldly, if the gay folks have the freedom to go on TikTok, go on Twitter or X, go on YouTube, write a manifesto saying, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to groom your kids. We're going to pervert your kids. If they can do that, how come we can't say what we want to do? And that's what this Trump movement, America First, MAGA movement is about. It's like, hey, we get to say what we want to. And we get to say, we don't have to whisper it. We don't have to talk about it in secret. Our desires have to be heard, respected, honored. That's why I'm so encouraged That's why I look at the sports world, and I look at men, I look at women that are willing to say, you know what, damn it, they get to say what they want, I get to say what I want. Here's them, and Pastor Williams pointed out, here's them just out in the open. Hey, this is what we want to do, and this is what we're doing. Play SOT 14.
They want your kids to not believe that they are really a boy, but that they are a girl. Let me show you this. This is a video of the San Francisco Gay Choir. It was put out last year. And I want you to hear them as they mock Christians. Roll it.
You think we're sinful? You fight against our rights. You say we all lead lives you can't respect. But you're just frightened. You think that we'll corrupt your kids if our agenda goes unchecked. Funny, just this once, you're correct. We'll convert your children. Happens bit by bit, quietly and subtly, and you will barely notice it. You can keep them from disco, warn about San Francisco. Make him wear pleated pants, we don't care. We'll convert your children. We'll make them tolerant and fair.
I believe that video is 2 or 3 years old, he said last year, but I believe it's a little older than that. But they're not hiding what they're doing. And it's about time we quit hiding what we want. You have to speak it into existence. And so if you want to make America great again, if you want to bring America back closer to God, if you want a Christian culture, say it with your chest out. Go in that voting booth today and tell any and everybody, yeah, I'm not down with the perversion of our children. I'm not down with a culture that's built around abortion and murdering children in the womb. America will pay a steep price for that. We will continue and further become the enemy of the world. These places on the planet that mainstream and normalize and pay for the murder of children. They become the enemy of the world. We don't, and again, we're on top, and so people don't like us already. But if we keep going down this path and electing people who are running on the promise of like, yeah, women, we want you to murder your children and we want you to use abortions like you do toilet paper to wipe your rear end with. It's that simple, it's that normalized. Yeah, we will become the enemy of the world and we will deserve it. We have no respect for life. Our mindset is too corrupt to be respected. And so would I prefer the world to say, hey man, they got a president over in the United States that speaks inappropriately, cracks inappropriate jokes, and sometimes says mean things to celebrities and the fake news media. Yeah, I'd rather deal with that than to have them say, man, look at that American culture. They're killing babies right and left, and they're all celebrating it. And they feel like it's a constitutional, God-given right to kill babies. I'd rather have the mean president than the president that sanctions and affirms killing babies. We're paying a price for that. And they cannot, they cannot, and many of you have seen this clip I'm about to show, but I just want to show it just for, they can't pretend like that's not what they're doing and that, no, abortion's not murder. They can't do that. They can't pretend that. They know exactly what it is. Bill Maher, the comedian, the HBO talk show host, the big left-wing leader, he's already put it on record. He knows exactly what abortion is and told his audience and every other, quit lying. We know what this is. They're just good with it. Play SOT number 18, Bill Maher. Let's take the mystery out of it.
You know, that's why I don't understand the 15-week thing. Or the Trump's plan is, let's leave it to the states. You mean, so killing babies is okay in some states? Like, I can respect the absolutist position. I really can. I scold the left on when they say, oh, you know what? They just hate women, people who aren't pro-life, pro-choice. They don't hate women. They just made that up. They think it's murder. And it kind of is. I'm just okay with that. I am. I mean, there's 8 billion people in the world. I'm sorry, we won't miss you. That's my position on that. What?
Bill Maher's all in the audience, like, oh, repulsed by that. Repulsed that he would speak out loud what they believe. They like keeping secrets. No. We killing babies for the betterment of society. No, you're killing babies because you believe in killing babies and you have no respect for life. I have a modicum of respect for Bill Maher because he's honest about it. Yeah, it's murder. And I'm good with that. That's what's on the ballot today. Are you good with murder? Babies. Babies that have done nothing. This is an abomination. And they have run a presidential campaign based off the argument Donald Trump put 3 people on the Supreme Court that overturned Roe v. Wade. He must be eliminated. They are clearly saying, man, this man made it harder for us to kill babies. He must be thrown out of office. We will try to assassinate him. We will try to put him in prison. We will rig up an election and cheat in every way possible to punish the man that stopped us from killing babies anytime and anywhere we wanted to. And those of you that call yourself Christians, decent people, you gonna vote for Kamala under the pretense of, well, I just don't like Donald Trump. Your hatred of Trump trumps your fear of God. You've made hatred of Trump an idol. You hate Trump more than you love God. How? Make it make sense. Those of you that claim the cross, those of you that claim Jesus Christ, make it make sense that your hatred of Trump is more important than your love and fear of God. It does not make sense. And and it doesn't make sense to anybody. Just come out of the closet and say, I'm a part of the pedophilia and abortion cult. I like peanut butter and jelly. Just admit it. I will respect you. I respect Bill Maher. It's you people that are lying to yourself and hiding and coming up with every excuse possible to protect your right to kill babies out of convenience for you. You're satanic. Well, I'm voting for Kamala because we need a black woman in president. It's a great symbol. We need a symbol to inspire other black girls because if Kamala's president, you need a symbol. You need Jesus Christ. I thought we believed in Jesus. I thought we were Christians. You looking for symbols. You got Jesus Christ. What more do you need if you're a believer? You think you need an Indian woman to be some inspiration to your black child. Are you kidding me? I want to play one, because when I say this Alton Williams, he hit every note that I was looking for. it's just like, it's like water in the desert. He reads from Ezekiel, chapter 9, verses 1 through 6, and talks about these pastors, and he went Old Testament. And I'm not going to play the full clip where he explains, like, hey, look, I'm reading from the Old Testament. I'm talking about the Old Testament. I know the New Testament. I know we live under grace, and this is Old Testament instructions. But there is a judgment that comes from overlooking this type of abomination. And they walked you through it in Ezekiel in the Old Testament, and God said, you know what, go out and kill these leaders and start in my temples. Start with the pastors. Start with the leaders. Take them out. If they don't have a mark on their forehead, take them out. And I'm not saying that's what we need to do. Just tell you what they did in the Old Testament. We live under grace now in the New Testament. But we have a chance to go to that election box and take these people out, and we have a chance to call out these ministers that are preaching a perverted form of Christianity so they can keep their little few coins that they get, that the Democrats and the machine and the people that can't stand Jesus Christ, them 20 and 30 pieces of silver that these preachers are getting for selling out Jesus Christ. They need to be called out and pointed out. That was the one thing, and I know I'm rambling, but after the service, me and Alton Williams, we got to talking and just reflecting, and he was talking about, like, hey man, ministers are starting to fight with each other. I guess Donnie Swaggart took a shot at the black church, and people are coming at him, and then black ministers are going back and forth over Kamala Harris. And he was saying he was a little concerned about it. And I was like, no, this is a good thing. We need to duke it out. We need to have this fight. Jesus came with a sword. We can't just let everybody up in here claim Christianity, claim the cross when they're preaching something in direct contradiction to God. But this is the last clip I'm going to play from Alton Williams, but it's what I needed to hear. It's what you need to hear on this election day. Any of you that are last second thoughts or just want to have confidence in the decision you made today or last week or the week before to vote for President Trump, I want you to feel good about it. And for those of you that are planning on voting for Kamala Harris, have already voted for Kamala Harris, quite frankly, I want you to feel bad about it. I want you to have to deal with the fact that you disobeyed God. You put God on the back burner so you could serve your racial idolatry, your idolatry of using abortion as birth control rather than being a responsible, God-fearing person. Get yourself married, practice abstinence. At the very least, put a condom on. Do something. Quit being so irresponsible. Play SOT number 13.
Reading from the New Living Translation, Ezekiel 9, 1 through 6. Then the Lord thundered, bring on the men appointed to punish the city. Tell them to bring their weapons with them. 6 men soon appeared from the upper gate that faces north, each carrying a deadly weapon in his hand. With them was a man dressed in linen, who carried a writer's case at his side. They all went into the temple courtyard and stood behind or beside the bronze altar. Then the glory of the God of Israel rose up from between the cherubims, which are angels, that was at the altar, where it had rested, and moved to the entrance of the temple. And the Lord called to the man dressed in linen who was carrying the writer's case. He said to him, walk through the streets of Jerusalem. Now, Jerusalem is Israel. These are God's people. Walk through the streets of Jerusalem and put a mark on the foreheads of all who weep and sigh, watch this, because of the detestable sins being committed in their city. Then I heard the Lord say to the other men, follow him through the city, Lord have mercy, and kill everyone whose forehead is not marked. Show no mercy, have no pity. Kill them all, old and young, girls and women and little children, but do not touch anyone with the mark. Begin right here at, notice, here's where you're going to start. Begin right here at the temple, the church. So they began by killing the 70 leaders. Start with the church and the leaders. Start with the church and the pastors. Good God Almighty, Lord have mercy. Next one, is that it? I think that's it. What is going on in this passage is Jerusalem has gone to detestable sins, and the people were not caring. It was at a point where people were desensitized, just like today. They really didn't care. It didn't matter to them that people were walking in detestable sins. Now, if you see that same scripture in the King James, detestable is the word abomination. And abomination is the most disgusting and detestable sin that people can commit in the eyes of God.
Do you want the mark on your forehead? Are you willing to shout out, these are detestable sins? The sacrifice of babies in the womb is a detestable sin. The intentional sexual mutilation, gender confusion, sexual molestation. These are detestable sins and abominations. Have you wept? Have you cried out? Have you put that mark on your forehead that says, I object? If you haven't, you have an opportunity today to put that mark on your forehead, to go into that voting booth. And I admit, oh my God, Whitlock's comparing Trump. I'm not comparing Trump. I'm comparing the time that we're living in and what the election of Kamala Harris and the Democrat Party, what it means for American culture. They are the ones installing Rachel Levine, a man pretending to be a woman, assistant health secretary. They are the ones championing men participating in women's sports. They are the ones that appointed a Supreme Court justice who couldn't say what a woman is. I want the mark on my forehead. I object. These are abominations. This is detestable behavior. God is so irate, and I'm so afraid of him. I don't want that judgment on me. I never planned on voting. Never. None of these previous elections moved me. Trump in 2016, yes. Did I like him? Did I support him? Would I participate in the criticism of Trump? No. But I would not vote because the man never talked about God. In 2020, I didn't vote because he still wasn't talking about God. He had to get assassinated for me to hear this man, or attempt an assassination, for me to hear this man give God some glory for saving him. And it took all that's happened over the last 4 years, the persecution of the January 6 people, the defining of this election about abortion, for me to fully understand, oh, this is what God is doing with Donald Trump. This is how crystal clear he wants things to be, that there are people seeking power who want your children They want to mutilate them through surgery. They want to sexualize them well before they're ready. They want drag queens shaking their balls in front of them at schools. And so put that mark on my forehead. Yeah, I voted for him. I voted for him because I think God is using him. I don't think Trump is God. I don't think Trump is some sort of super righteous figure. I think God is using him. And I don't think, well, God's using Kamala Harris too, to show you just how evil this leftist agenda is. You may not want the mark. You don't fear God, and God help you. I hope God has mercy on you. But according to everything I've read, he's not when it really matters. You're going to have to answer for being a coward, for prioritizing what you want over what God wants, for prioritizing your little selfish, materialistic, gender-related, color-related desires over what God wants. You don't care about no children. If they're an inconvenience, you want the right to murder them. You would. I want to end here in a second. It's going to take me a minute, but I want. There will be people. For those of you that made this choice, put this mark on your forehead, went out and voted for Trump, and willing to stand on it and tell everybody why you did it. I want to give you the talking points. When people ask, what was so great about America? What does make America great again? When was America ever great? I want to give you the talking points so you can tell them people to shut up. And then I need you to get out there in the remaining time, get out there and vote, stand in that line, put that mark on your forehead and let everybody know I'm not down with this. Before I do that, I want to talk about another one of our great sponsors, Alpine Gold. They've hopped on board, and Alpine Gold Exchange is an awesome way to invest in alternative currency. Inflation is eating away at your savings and is showing no signs of slowing down. At Alpine Gold, you can start earning a competitive return on precious metal leases that allow investors to protect against inflation while earning a competitive return at the same time. Every other precious metal IRA is lacking this. That's why Alpine Gold offers gold leases that pay you in gold. Everyone is eligible to start with returns up to 3.5% average per year. The Goldback is the world's first physical interchangeable gold money that is designed to accommodate even small transactions. Goldbacks do not need someone else's approval to spend, do not specify where they can be spent or what they can be spent on. They're anonymous. There's no need for everybody to know what you spent it on. When you buy 100 Goldbacks and lease them, Alpine Gold Exchange will give you 5 Goldbacks on your first lease payment. Payments occur 1 month after your lease begins. Limit 1 payment per person. Also, when you buy $1,000 of Goldbacks, they will waive all credit card fees. That's a 3.5% savings. Learn more about Goldbacks by visiting alpinegold.com. Use the promo code FEARLESS to receive free shipping on orders of more than $200. That's alpinegold.com, promo code FEARLESS. Let me bring this to a conclusion. And we will bring on Shemeka, and I'll hear from you guys in the chat. I got to take a little drink and hear something here because I've been going 1 hour and 50 minutes, and this is a lot for me. But we'll bring on Shemeka, hear what you guys are talking about in the chat here soon or shortly. I do want to tell you all, too, that if you're looking for a better way to enjoy election night coverage, we got you covered here at The Blaze. Go to blazeelection.com blazeelection.com /fearless to sign up and get a special discount promo code of $47 the code is 47, and then you get $47 off your Blaze TV subscription. You'll need that to get the coverage of this election that you need. As I told you guys yesterday, it's like why I went over to Memphis. There was a special sermon I needed to hear before this election, and I could only get it in Memphis from Alton Williams. Couldn't, churches here in the Nashville area, tiny bit woke, many of them, and many of them try not to get too political. It's too dangerous for them. They don't want to upset their congregation. I knew of one place where I could go get exactly what I wanted, what I needed, what God had for me. Same thing as it relates to election coverage. You don't have to put up with CNN and MSNBC and all the other paid MK Ultra, CIA-backed broadcasters. You can actually get the truth from Glenn Beck and a cast of Blaze people, including myself, that will be on tonight talking about the election. Go to blazeelection.com/fearless, get the promo code 47, $47 off your Blaze subscription. Do it right now. Let me take a swig of my Cardio Miracle. So I can get through this last part of the show. And some degree, I hope you enjoyed it, but to some degree, I don't care. I want to encourage you. I want to convict those of you that have made the wrong decision, can't see what's going on. But I want to end on this Make America Great Again. People ask all the time, well, when has America ever been great? And Donald Trump and his crowd, they always talking about Make America Great Again. And when was it? I'm gonna tell you exactly when it was great. Great at Appomattox when Robert E. Lee surrendered to Ulysses S. Grant. Tell me America wasn't great on that day. It was great. It was awesome. That, I think it was in April 1865, the day that ended slavery, which that war ended slavery, that was great. Trust me, you went back and asked a lot of black folks back then, particularly in the South, they'd be like, whoo, boy, April 1865, what a day. That was great. America was great on that day. Man, you know how many folks went out and sacrificed their life and limbs during that conflict? And man, we won it. All that struggle, whoo, boy, was America great then. No one will disagree with that. That was great. That's when America was great. Was everything perfect? No, but things were great and people celebrated. Next thing you know, black folks started Memorial Day. We did that in celebration of those people that sacrificed their lives, sacrificed their safety, sacrificed their limbs for our freedom. Now, like I said, that war was complicated. Glad it ended slavery. I wish that they had figured out a way to reaffirm states' rights. You know, it was a complicated war. There was an other side of the argument about states' rights. We needed to end slavery. It was an abomination that needed to be ended, and it was. Great day. I'll tell you another time when America was great. What's the dude's name? Oliver and Wilbur Wright. I believe in 1903, December 17th, they flew their first flight. Air travel, airplanes. Awesome day. Awesome day, particularly for fat people. Do you think I could travel to California in a covered wagon? You think I could walk to Memphis or to Kansas City or to Cincinnati? Oh, they invented this thing called airplanes, and we all got to benefit from it. This is innovation. America used to be the birthplace of all this innovation. You tell me America wasn't great when men were out creating and doing things that have benefited the rest of society. You telling me this wasn't great? You telling me I didn't benefit from that and you didn't benefit from that? Yeah, America was great then. Awesome. Did it have problems? Yes. Were we dealing with Jim Crow and all that? Yes. But was America great when we were the kings and queens of innovation and technological advances that benefited all of society? Yeah, America was great. And now I'm going to get to the real uncomfortable truth about when America was great. And this is specifically talking to black folks that want to sit up and whine and cry. America was never great. Why is Donald Trump talking about make America great? He wants to take us back to slavery. No. Tell you when America was great. And when I think about American great, and I didn't live during this time, but my grandparents did. My mother lived during part of this time. But there was a time in America when black people were not obsessed with living in proximity to white people. There was a time when black people weren't sitting around going, oh my God, I'm gonna make it to heaven as soon as I move into a white neighborhood. Oh, all of my prayers will be answered as soon as I get to go to an all-white school. There was a time when that was not the priority of black people. And that was a great time. And that's not me calling for segregation. That's me calling for a return to sanity. Because you know what the priority was then in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, and 50s for black people and for Americans? Family. That was a great time. Your survival, your success in life was predicated on building a great family, sustaining a family, developing and nurturing your children. That was the priority. And that was a great time. My mother talks about it. My father used to talk about it. And yes, did white people mistreat black folks in some cases? Yes. But black folks wasn't sitting around obsessed about, oh my God, white man called me a name. White man didn't let me eat at his restaurant. I'm not calling for any of that because I'm glad Jim Crow ended. But this obsession and this belief that being the first black person in a white space is the key to happiness, it's a joke. The obsession, the key to happiness is building a strong, successful nuclear family where children can be developed in safety without all this confusion, without all this obsession with, oh, so-and-so said this or that about me. America was great when black people thought the key to happiness, the key to success was obeying God and buying into his family structure. That's when America was great. And I want to go back to that. And I say that as a single man who didn't used to think that way and used to think that sticking my private part any and everywhere I could in some sort of young woman was the key to happiness. And I was an idiot. I was retarded. So I want to get back to that. And I want to play you a clip of the great Thomas Sowell, because we'll bring it all the way home. 1940s, the kind of economic advances that black people were making that basically all came to a halt once we started with the obsession of, oh God, please, dear Heavenly Father, move me to a white neighborhood. Move me to an all-white school. Please, Heavenly Father, if I could just be around white folks, my life would be so much happier. Looking for love in all the wrong places. There's no color deal that's going to make you happy. It's going to make you content, will give you a purpose. Your family, the one you create, the one you organize, the one you nurture, develop, control, that's where happiness is. That's where contentment is. That's where purpose is. That's the structure that allows man closer to God. I'll be happy. Play Thomas Sowell.
Which brings us to something that you refer to in a number of columns as the retrogression, the experience of African Americans in this country. Economic progress, I'm quoting you. Despite the grand myth that black economic progress began or accelerated with the passage of the civil rights laws and the war on poverty programs of the 1960s, the fact is that the poverty rate among blacks fell from 87% in 1940 to 47% in 1960. But over the next 20 years, the poverty rate among blacks fell another 18 percentage points. This was just the continuation of a previous economic trend, but at a slower rate of progress. It was not some grand deliverance, close quote. That is so counter to what we are taught in school, what appears on the editorial pages of newspapers, that I feel as though I want to ask you, you really want to stick with that assertion?
I have more evidence in my most recent book, Discrimination and Disparities. I point out that this really is a pattern not peculiar to blacks or even to the United States, that you can see the same thing in England, you can see it in any number of other countries, that the poor were much worse off economically, let's say in the first half of the 20th century, and yet in terms of their own behavior, they were far more decent societies. And afterwards, after this welfare state that's supposed to make them better off and better human beings, that's when the crime rate skyrocketed on both sides of the Atlantic. The British were famous for being perhaps the most polite, considerate society in the world prior to that. After that, you get things like the 2011 riots over there, between London, Manchester, where they're going through this. They anticipated Ferguson and Baltimore by a few years. And the same thing is the burning down of buildings, the throwing of gasoline bombs, the whole smear. And none of those people were descendants of slaves.
So the poor people were doing, if the lesson of the 20th century is something like poor people, including in this country African Americans, were improving their lot and leading fundamentally decent lives until the government decided to help them.
Yeah, yes.
When was America great? When men said, let me partner with God to improve my life, my wife and kids' lives, my parents' lives, my nieces and nephews' lives. When men partnered with God, that's when America was great. Men partnering with the government, that's what destroyed, or women partnering with the government. That's what has destroyed America. And so when I think of making America great again, when I think about what Trump's movement has brought in, it's shaking men to the point where it's like, hey man, I gotta quit relying on government. I have to quit thinking government can do what God designed me to do, gave me the responsibility to do. If we can get back to that mindset, and I think this today is a step in that direction. I think there's a reason why we have a nasty feminist whore running for president, so that we can see what the choices are real clearly. Do you want to sleep and pleasure men and kill your babies for progress? Or do you want someone that will try to get government out of your way so that you can be a man and make your own way? And I'll end on this note. People, they hate any assertion that God is using Donald Trump. And last night, early to this morning, I just had to ask myself, how can I argue otherwise? How can I argue that God isn't using Trump? This man is, I believe, nearly 80 years old. Is he 78 years old? How old is Donald Trump? 78, 79? I want to be factual here. Donald Trump is 78 years old. And I was sitting there last night at 1 a.m. Central Time, 2 a.m. Eastern Time, and I'm looking at Donald Trump at a rally in Grand Rapids, Michigan at 2 a.m. Eastern Time. This man's 78 years old. I think he had been in 2 or 3 other states that day. This was his 4th rally. He's been going since 6 a.m. And he's been going for months out on this campaign trail. He's under incredible stress. They've tried to kill him. They've tried to put him in prison. And I'm looking at a man at 78 years old on stage in Grand Rapids, Michigan at 2 a.m. talking like it's 12 noon at Mar-a-Lago. And this isn't natural. And yes, I'm fat. Yes, I'm not in the best shape. But neither is Donald Trump, and he's 78. We do roll call here. And we did it this past year. The second year we've done it. And that's basically 3 days of me staying up late, entertaining people, talking, Saturday on stage, hosting roll call. And when it's over, I can remember I fell down on the couch and I was nearly numb Saturday night when it was over. And I was like, oh, God. And it took me 2 days to recover. And I'm like, and Donald Trump at 78 is doing this every day? God's got to have a hand in this. There's no other explanation. I'm just sorry. Some of you are younger than me and in better shape than me. Ask yourself if you could keep Donald Trump's schedule. You can't. We're looking at a modern miracle. Joe Biden is awake 10 hours a day, tops. People Donald Trump's age, other than maybe marathoners, find me the 78-year-olds that can keep Donald Trump's schedule. This man still eats McDonald's. This is not natural. This is supernatural. I'm not saying, because I don't know. I can't say who is and who isn't going to heaven. I can't say who is right, who isn't. But God is using Donald Trump. It's the only explanation. Just think it through. If you're over 60, if you're over 50, let's say you exercise and work out every day. Could you really keep Donald Trump's schedule? And then add on the mental stress. They tried to kill this man. He can't even trust the Secret Service. He's got clowns in district attorney offices all over the country trying to put him in prison. The mental stress, the physical stress. This man is at the end of an election cycle at 2 a.m. talking to people in Grand Rapids, Michigan. This is a miracle. This is a biblical story of God intervening and giving someone supernatural strength so that they can accomplish what God needs accomplished. And God needs America to come up out of the abortion, pedophile, sex cult. Because if we don't, there's some things that are going to happen and continue to happen to us that we do not want to happen. I don't have time because I've gone on too long, but this whole Diddy thing, this whole Epstein thing, can't you see God is awakening us? And he's used Donald Trump to wake us up, to open our minds, his whole attack on the fake news media and all of that. This is opening our minds to the truth that we've been in denial. We've been ignoring the abominations, acting like it doesn't matter, acting like it doesn't affect us, acting like it doesn't say something horrible about us. You have a political party running on the right to kill your baby in the womb, and you're supporting it and calling yourself Christians. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry if you voted for Kamala Harris. Begin your repenting right now. You have a chance to go out and vote for Trump. Do it right now. Shemeka is going to come in and tell me what was popping in the chats. Did I reach any of you all today? And we'll wrap up the show after that. Shemeka Michelle, next.
I've been selling my stuff, hustling eBay, PlayStation car parts for little or no pay, so I can sit out here and watch the Titans play. Stumble on home and rub my blue balls away. It's a damn shame what the NFL has turned to for fans like me and fans like you. Wish I could just wake up and Patriots red, white, and blue, but I can't. This football nightmare's true. Living in a Madden world with Lombardi soul. These cowards bound to feminists, Lord knows they all just want to wear pantyhose and control what you think. Want to vex you and mask you, and they don't think we know that they drink Bud Light too. Cause these players don't hit, might as well have limp wrists. Cause of these cowards bowing down to feminists. I wish sports media would look out for fans and not just Taylor Swift promoting her brand. Lord, we out in the parking lot, tailgating, grilling meat, and the obese just can't wait to eat. Well, God, if you're a referee and blind as a bat, Roger Goodell should grow a pair and give you the axe. We had Derrick Henry, we played ground and pound, but the idiot Titans chased our king out of town. Lord, it's a damn shame what the NFL has turned to for fans like me and fans like you. Wish I could just wake up in Patriots red, white, and blue, but I can't. This football nightmare's true. Living in a Madden world with Lombardi soul. These cowards bound to feminists, Lord knows they all just want to wear pantyhose and control what you think. Want to vex you and mask you, and they don't think we know that they drink Bud Light too. Cause these players don't hit, might as well have limp wrists. Cause of these cowards bowing down to feminists. I've been selling my stuff, hustling eBay, PlayStation car parts for little or no pay.
Shemeka, welcome back to the show. I just spent 2 hours and 10 minutes giving a Trump stump speech, and I'm exhausted. Donald Trump would go out and do 3 or 4 more of these in a day. And I've been sitting here. This dude stands at a podium. Anywho, what was popping in the chats? Your thoughts on today's show?
Jason, I think we all enjoyed today's show. You were on fire. The chat kept saying that. Of course, so many in the chat were saying Trump 2020, Trump 2024, MAGA 2024. Just excited about the message that you were bringing. Of course, there were some dissenters in the chat, but I decided I'm not even going to give those idiots any more of our time and attention. Your message was just so serious, and those, that have ears, let them hear. And those that don't, they can just continue to do what they were trying to do in the chat, which is be a distraction. But most people were very into today's show. So good job.
Thank you.
You told me to remind you about Joseph Morrison, the Stephen A. and Kevin Durant. You see Stephen A. response? Yeah.
Remind me tomorrow.
Okay.
I apologize. I'm gonna get to it. Last night I barely slept. All I could think about was how to deliver this message and following things and rewatching Pastor Williams, and so I apologize. Remind me tomorrow.
Got you. And I didn't know that guy. I've been seeing his clips throughout the last few months, just seem to see him over and over and over again. I had no idea he was in Memphis. And now I'm excited because one of my daughters will spend the summer in Memphis doing an internship. And now she has a church to attend. So I'm excited about that.
Awesome.
Deej wants me to let you know that Trump was shot at 6:11 p.m. July 13th, and he says Ephesians 6:11 reads, "Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes." So he was in agreement with you.
Awesome. Good stuff. Next.
Paul Lee says, "I'm an atheist and I'm a 100% Trump supporter. Don't vilify all atheists, Jason. Love the show and hoping for your continued success."
I appreciate that sentiment, and I will continue I appreciate you watching. I think if you continue to watch, the scales are going to come off your eyes, and you're going to see all truth begins with God's word. And so thank you for your support. Continue to listen and watch, and I feel confident you'll come to know Jesus.
Richard Taylor had a question for me. How does Shemeka really feel if a woman wins tonight? Does that give you hope that, one, you can run and win? It doesn't give me hope, because when I think about, I'll say, Deborah, who was a judge in the Bible, I feel like that was more of God saying there were no men to appoint to that position or step up, more than I think it was an endorsement for women to be leaders. So I don't feel like that would make me feel like I could run and win. It would make me feel like men are just doing a terrible job at being men, because I truly believe that men are leaders and they should be the ones running the country. So if there aren't any to choose from, then I would see how a woman would have to take that position. But in my preference, I would rather a man be leading and be in charge. So I don't see any great victory of Kamala winning at all. Seems like a punishment. Yeah. Jay's 2100 says, "I really wish JW would do just one show highlighting his flaws and his flaws only. So holier than thou, and it makes me sick." I figured this is where you could go in, because I feel like you highlight your sins all the time, so much so that people in the chat are often saying, "We know this, Jason. We're tired of hearing it, Jason." But this person says you're holier than thou.
So it's so preposterous to me because even like today, I'm sitting there talking about my flaws of obesity and, you know, mistakes in my personal life and marriage and all that. Are we sure? Is he talking about highlight Trump's flaws, maybe? I just find it hard to believe he's talking about my flaws, which I just tend to constantly talk about.
Yeah, you constantly talk about him, but I'm pretty sure unless he just doesn't know how to, I don't know.
Some people
use
don't know how to
commas the
write.
right-
Some people don't know how to write. Yeah, some people don't. Seriously, and sometimes I don't even know how to talk. I'll start out saying one thing and end up saying something else. But, bro, I do talk about my shortcomings all the time. Anyway, next.
Yeah, that's actually all, Jason, because I think so many people were just really into the conversation. You had so many people talking about scripture. There was a fight on whether or not things in the Bible have been proven versus people saying that it's a fairy tale. So it was a lot going on in the chat, but I would say for the most part, people were really hearing your message, heeding your message, and just agreeing with you and pushing you spiritually, praying for you, because we are at a time right now, and some people in the chat said, oh, you know, this is said every 4 years that this is the most important election. But to me, the closer we get to 2030 and we know about Agenda 2030 and the World Economic Forum, this is really, truly an important election because we're getting closer and closer to the things that we don't want to live under. So I think most people in the chat heard you and are in agreement, went out to vote or going after hearing what you had to say.
Let me end by asking you this question, because you're younger than me, you're in better shape than me. Do you think you could keep Trump's schedule?
No, I don't know how he does it, Jason. Just getting up yesterday and being at the rally, I was exhausted. Like as soon as I hit the pillow, I was out not long after that because I was just tired. It was so much energy. I don't know how he does it to go into all those different atmospheres and have to deal with all that energy back to back to back. I couldn't keep the schedule. Just being around people one time and feeling people pull on you and wanting to talk and wanting you to be on, one time is enough for me. And he did it 4 times yesterday. And over the last several days, he's done more than one rally. Don't know how he does it.
And it's not like, if this was RFK, who I've met, we've hosted here at the studio, RFK Jr., RFK Jr. is in really good shape. I mean, he's still heavily muscled. He's thin. You know, if he were doing it, it would be far more easy for me to comprehend, but I'd still be impressed. Trump, a little bit overweight, likes McDonald's. You know, he's kind of it's like your 78-year-old grandfather for most of us. You know, we can't imagine them doing this type of travel schedule, this type of on your feet speaking schedule day after day, in dress shoes. Not like Trump showing up in tennis shoes. This man's in dress shoes every single day, on his feet, my jaws, and it's been 2 hours and 24 minutes. I can feel my jaws being tired from talking. I don't know how Trump does it. It's the most, and this is again where I just like, this is God's hand. There's just this doesn't make sense for a 78-year-old to be able to do this. But Shemeka, we're going to end here. I'm going to encourage all of you all to make sure you go out and make your vote count. And I think we got a big celebration coming tonight. I'm so excited. We'll play tomorrow, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Freedom, looking for a breakout, feeling like a standoff, nothing in life like freedom. Came like a fighter, strike like a ladder, making all this moves for freedom. I want freedom. No negotiation, my sister, no relation. We all just wanna have freedom. Sitting on the corner, never been alone. I'm breaking my back for freedom. Blessed, we are living, get back. We are receiving, all deceiving. We all wanna be free. We want freedom. I wanna be, I just want, I wanna be, I just want, I wanna be, I just want.